purpose of this video is to explore questions about manipulation. Manipulation starts off as a dirty word in our culture, and this ties in with a cultural hierarchy in which personal freedom is elevated to a very high level. My landlord wanted to sue the city of San Rafael because they pruned his hedge that was growing out into the street. No one is going to tell me what to do has got to be the epitome of the value hierarchy in America, which in the global ecology is one of the most individualistic and self-referencing cultures in the history of humankind. We might compare it perhaps to a Viking culture, but there is a value hierarchy within human values. There is a hierarchy of needs in which Maslow has illustrated, and personal freedom is on that hierarchy. Now, generally, a healthy system is one that's flowing, that is in flow, which means that in a hierarchy of value, there's always something in service to something else. And within the hierarchy of values of cultural freedom or personal freedom, it's not a dead end. See, I think this is one of the areas that we get stuck in the culture when we think that freedom is an end in and of itself, that it's the end of the line. And so we look at an equation where American after American is personally free to be fat, to watch TV, to be in their head, to be highly opinionated, to drive around whenever they want to drive around and buy whatever they want to buy when they want to buy it in the color they want it in. And it's like, yes, that's it, that's nirvana. And you take the sampling, the measurements, etc. You spend time traveling around the globe. It's like they're 300% happier here with less resources. They're 300% happier over here with the same resources. There's a completely different value hierarchy over here. Here it's the individual in service of the family or in service of the group, and that's working just as well for them. And so this self-referencing, another thing that the United States is famous for. Almost every country in the world knows more about the United States than the United States knows of that country. So of course, we're the best. So you have this self-referencing, myopic and obsessive view of personal freedom. And within that paradigm, the idea of interfering with personal freedom, the right to buy a handgun that will mow down 300 people in 1 minute per shooting, a key right, or the right to drive, a 6 mile per gallon per mile SUV for one person, just because I can, because I'm an American. This self-referencing tends to be a stagnant pool. Life tends to die in self-referencing dogmas, self-referencing values, self-referencing traditions. This is the way we did it because we did it that way, and that's why we do it. That's self-referencing. It's going round and round. There's no new energy coming in. Now, in a hierarchy of values, one thing is always in service to the other. So it's not that freedom is important, it is that the possibility, that freedom provides for the possibility to love. You know, that love is not real if you have no freedom. You know, I'm really grateful for your love, but you had absolutely no choice. It's not as significant. So then we have things like significance and the ability to love. For some, not as high as the ability to shop, of course. But that's a self-referencing. You know, so if we understand that we're on a dynamic path where one thing is always in service to something else. As you know, Joseph Campbell does a wonderful job in referencing the self-glorification of a certain Indra who, you know, thought they were so important and stuff, so they need to build the biggest palace and da-da-da-da-da. And you know, the solution is to bring in a swarm of ants, you know, just thousands upon thousands of ants, you know, and what are these? Well, you might not want to know. They were all Indras who thought they were so important and da-da-da-da-da, and now they're ants, you know. It's this humorous dynamic where when something becomes too caught up in a self-referential loop, it starts to die. And so what is important in freedom is the opportunity to meaningfully facilitate well-being with a sense of significance, to enable gratitude, to enable love, that I didn't have to do this, I chose to do this. Now, the pinnacle of freedom is not lethargic, uneducated anesthesia. That's not why freedom has any value whatsoever. It's like it's the fact that within the range of freedom, it allows for a more significant sense of meaning. That I chose this, you know. I didn't just sit and watch another 4 episodes of the soap opera. I did this. I didn't just do what I was told, which was to do the same boring thing I've been told to do the last 40 years. I did this. And so there's a sense of significance, not in the freedom, but in what it can facilitate. Now, within this framework, we have the question, I guess, begins with what is freedom in service of, and it's in a healthy framework, it is in service of some elevation of well-being on at least some dimension: physical, emotional, mental, this dimension, that dimension, this area, that area. Freedom is not terribly relevant if its end goal is mediocrity. We are going to freely, for the end of time, choose a miserable, painful mediocrity. That's why freedom is so important, because otherwise we couldn't have a mediocre life. And I want a mediocre life, and so I've got to be free to choose a mediocre life. It's always referencing something transcendent. Every value in its ecological relationship, in its dance, in its circular form, is referencing somewhere else, and eventually it comes back again. You know, this references this references this, and in a big circle. But when you have a very big circle, you have the intricacies of all possibility. When you have, I do this because I do this because I do this, it's such a tiny circle, it's stultifying. You know, it's like a plant caught in its pot, just growing round and round. And so this is, one of the paradigms between life and death. Now, in this situation, there are other deities, well-being, survival, longevity, things that are more important than freedom. And we understand this in the parental context, in which a parent does not respect her 2-year-old's right to die in front of a bus. The parent yanks the child out of the way, or stops the bus, or slams on the brake in the car to protect, to bring the child to a point where at some point we must honor, although we do not in this is a very interesting element in the United States, is what is in fact free. Potato chips, no problem. Alcohol, no problem. Sugar, no problem. TV, laying around, obesity, no problem. But psychedelics and consciousness expansion, not so sure about that. The right to build an ecological community on land with teepees. Oh, we certainly don't want that. We need another 4,000 square foot mansion in this division. And the right to go out and share a hug with people. Oh, that's invading people's right to be dissociative. And so there is an interesting paradox and hypocrisy built into this freedom of what is, you're free to buy 27 brands of shampoo on Amazon. You are not free to go and give a neighbor a hug. Or you're not free to call a stranger over for a massage. Oh, that would never do. I don't know you. Well, what does that matter? Is my body, you've never seen a human body before? No, I just don't know you, and that's against the rules. I don't give massage to people I don't know. Well, how long would you have to know me before this would not be breaking this rule, which is interesting, and a self-referencing freedom culture that presumably could have the right to massage people if they wanted to, but no. Oh, at least 6 months, and I don't even massage my husband, I just learned from my wife that it would be inappropriate for her to massage my arm in public. Well, who knew? But there you go. So it's not that there is this boundless freedom. There is choice within the narrow bandwidth of a given culture. So lots of freedom to choose 30 brands of shampoo, no freedom at all to hug a stranger. Lots of freedom to order an item at 2 a.m., at 3 a.m., at 4 a.m., at 5 a.m., to buy things, less so to have a conversation with a friend, and so I can buy 3,000 items at 5 a.m., but I cannot talk with someone at 5 a.m., and so what is free in this free society is also limited. Now, this limited, every culture is, of course, unbalanced, and that balance or unbalance leads to a certain level of pain, etc. And so within that framework, when you need this to balance you out, and this is available that you don't need, and this is not available, there is pain. So as we bring manipulation into this context, or coercion, it is the intentional pushing to have someone do what they are not comfortable to do. And I say not comfortable because you stick a gun to someone's head and suddenly they want to do something, meaning the gun makes them less comfortable than, okay, I didn't want to give you my money, but seeing as the situation has changed, I'm more comfortable giving you my money than I am with the idea that you're going to shoot me. So it's not that I don't want to give you the money. I just have to have a more uncomfortable alternative. Now, we're dealing then with comfort, and comfort is in this domain of the cult. The cult has, no, don't go talking to strangers. That's not what we do in this cult. Well, I had a question. I wanted to know why they're wearing that red hat. Well, we don't do that. Well, I'm free, right? No, you're not free in that area. You can't just ask people why they're wearing a red hat. Well, why not? How am I going to know why they're wearing a red hat if I don't ask? Well, that's just not what they do. And it's self-referencing. That's just not what it's, don't do it because we don't do it because that's not what we do. It's self-referencing. So when we don't understand, and of course a child that has been slapped and shamed and punished and pouted at and fumed at and lectured and all this, simply because they asked someone where their red hat was, and then they forgot that this was a taboo, and so they asked the next person why they're wearing a yellow hat, and it went on enough, and now their body is programmed to feel uncomfortable when they have curiosity or aliveness or spontaneity or any of the things that are absolutely forbidden in the United States of dogma. So you have this dynamic there, where now an entire culture has been pushed violently into a narrow bandwidth. And part of that narrow bandwidth is the assertion that no one is going to tell them what to do. Everyone told them that no one's going to tell them what to do, and so they know that nobody's going to tell them what to do because they've been told so many times. But other than that, nobody's going to tell me what to do. But what happens when, someone's in pain and it needs some cooperation and it's outside the cultural box? And no one's going to tell these people what to do, and no one's going to tell these people what to do, and no one's da-da-da-da-da. Well, what happens is the splintering of a culture. Because humanity, empathy, our biology, we are integrated at birth people, heart, mind, and body. And so when we're in pain, an empathic, intelligent human being around us that has not been conditioned is going to feel some of that. It may take a little bit of training for a child, but the mirror neurons connect us so that, if we're watching, we cringe when someone else gets hit over the head with a hammer. It's like, God, that must have hurt. We're connected. And it takes work to dissociate that connection. The military works very hard to turn empathic in human beings into sociopathic human beings. Because empathic human beings think things like, I don't want to shoot that guy. I mean, he's probably got a mother, he doesn't look like a bad guy. I don't want to shoot him. And the dogma of the cult says, you've got to shoot these people, otherwise this will happen and this will happen, and so you've got to do it. And it's like, well, I don't feel good about it. Well, we're going to train. We're going to line you up with video games. We're going to teach you that these people are not real. Faces of the Enemy is a book that Sam Keen wrote to talk about the way that a culture first must dehumanize an enemy before it can behave sociopathically towards those human beings. And you can dehumanize people in various ways. You can, convince them that they're not real human beings, the way that we've done with so many of our indigenous peoples on the planet. The word savage is that they're not human. And we say that anyone with this skin color isn't human, and anyone with this teeth color isn't human, and anyone with this hairdo. I mean, just imagine if the Lithuanians came in and looked at all the goth people in the United States and all the blue hair people in the United States and said, these aren't human. Let's mow them down. Butcher these people off, shoot them up, gas them up, etc. They're not human. And these aren't human because they don't have the right color, and these aren't human, and these are kind of human. They're just not as important as we are, because just look at them, eating this disgusting food, doing this and that, the other. That's not Lithuanian food, and so it's very easy if you have a dogmatic agenda to dehumanize a group of the population. And the trouble is, this dehumanizing is in itself breaking some fundamental laws. I mean, we are connected. This hand doesn't come over with a bomb and start slicing fingers off of this hand and then go home and cheer to a hero's welcome. We have an intelligent cohesiveness as a body that says, oh my God, you may die too unless we get to a hospital. Good job, not. This hand was going to help you work on certain projects and keep this body alive and da-da-da, and you think you're so clever, you've just destroyed part of your own body. It's not intelligent. But we don't have that kind of species-type consciousness, in part because of this obsession with individual freedom. When we over-deify personal freedom, when we exaggerate its importance in the ecology, we then get the idea that if someone takes away my chip bag when I'm fat and vegging, rather than engaging with the world, which is changing day by day and needs support and this and that and the other, if you take away my potato chips, you're evil. You violated my personal freedom. And it's like, well, it's time someone did. Anyone going to violate? The fact that you're not going to be able to get out of the couch pretty soon. Anyone going to? You're not. I mean, why not? Because it's not freedom that's important. It's freedom to do something important that's important. Otherwise, bravo, your culture has successfully deluded you into a dead end where you think you've made it because you're using your freedom to live a mediocre life. So in this kind of framework, we're looking at influence, unwanted influence. Now, addiction comes into here as well. Addiction is bigger than an individual human being. Because it is a coping mechanism for trauma. Now, we like to pretend that certain substances are innately addictive, and we used in the 80s and so in the drug war, we used traumatized lab rats to prove that the substances were highly addictive. And what we would do is we'd take these rats and we'd stick them, under Klieg lights, which rats are, of course, nocturnal, so stick them in trauma, to violate their environment. We're going to separate you from your family, trauma number 1. We're going to stick you in unregulated light, trauma number 2. We're going to be around you, and animals can feel how friendly the people around them are. And we are hostile because we have no interest in your well-being. We have interest in a dogma. We want to prove that we can spend $1 trillion attacking our own citizens for smoking marijuana or whatever. This is our agenda. We're busy trying to kill our own people. We don't care about you. The animals can feel that. Trauma number 3. There's no sex life and enjoyment and healthy trauma repairs. Trauma number 4. There's no little hole to navigate down and feel cozy in and stuff. Trauma number 5, we're going to stick you out in an open cage. We're not going to give you really healthy food alternatives. We're not going to give you a community, etc. And the only thing you've got, and so what we're doing is we're replicating the human cultured state of many Americans who have uncomfortable bosses looking over them, who don't have an adequate healthy sex life, who don't have friends, who have completely sociopathic political games going on all around them, right and left, and who must do this and this, and who don't get healthy food options, etc. And then we say, oh, and if you want, you can escape all this hell that we've engineered for you. by taking an opiate or this and that. Now let's see what you do. Do you enjoy being out of your body in a sick sociopathic environment that we've engineered, and just sit there anxiously and disappointing us because you're not proving our dogma? Or are you going to sedate yourself and escape this insanity that we've engineered for you with an opiate or a cocaine or whatever? And of course, the rats are no fools, so they get out of there and they addict. Now you take the same rat, parenthetically the same human being, the same rat, and you give it a lovely partner, some lovely kids, a nature environment, a little hole to be in, no annoying lights, no sociopathic sign. You give them a good environment, you give them healthy food, and then you give them the drug. And you see, well, okay, so now, with a viable alternative that's nourishing, does the rat take the addictive substance? And the answer turns out to be no. So then it comes to, okay, so you take the human out of the sociopathic work environment, out of the 2 hours each way of monotonous traffic, out of the smoke that's killing them, out of the mediocrity of electrical poles and billboards, this, that, and the other, out of the shaming and bullying partner, out of the mediocrity of evening television and the shock and awe of the local adrenaline production called the news. You take them out of all that into a healthy community with loving people who care about them and their feelings, who are not trying to kill them or do whatever for some political one-upmanship so they can get their promotion. And you ask them, do you want healthy organic food with someone who cares and make love and da-da-da, or would you like to dissociate with some methamphetamines? And the answer proves to be the same. Portugal, which has legalized all drugs, etc., has addiction rates down, has crime down, is saving money right and left. And so you come back to, again, this question of environment and influence. Now, one of the interesting things is when you're numb through varieties of anesthetics, be it self-pity, be it blame, be it control, be it rage, be it cocaine, be it whatever. When you're numb, be it sugar, be it fat, when you're numb, you don't know what's hurting you. And the problem is when the culture facilitates equal levels of pain and anesthetic in a traumatizing protocol that hits the child pre-verbally and verbally as it begins to say, I don't like this. Well, every child asks, why are they going to school? And the question points to the fact that it is not obvious to a child why you learn about life by separating from life. It's like, we're going to prepare you for life. Okay? So what, we're going to live life together? Like we're going to be living life? No. We have a better way. What we do is we spend extra money taking you out of life into a completely artificial environment. And that's how we prepare you for life. Now, it's very expensive, so you should be grateful. It's very uncomfortable, so you've got to dissociate from your body in order to get through. But you're a very good child if you do all that. It's like, and it's bizarre. It's absolutely bizarre. So what, life is segregated by gender? No. Life is mixed gender, so we're going to segregate you by gender. Oh, no, we're very advanced. We're actually going to keep you, you're going to be with people of mixed gender. Amazing. And then they evolve even further, So what, you go into restaurants and there's only 12-year-olds in that restaurant? No. Life is mixed age, but in this school, you only go to classes with 12-year-olds. To prepare me for life, right? And then, we do algebra when we do algebra when we're doing banking, and we do algebra when we're hairdressing, and we do algebra when we're baking bread, and we do algebra when we're dancing and dating. No. You don't do any. You don't do any algebra there. You do algebra at school to prepare you for not doing it in the rest of your life. And then what? So we're going to learn how to cook, and we're going to learn how to balance a checkbook. Oh, no, we don't have time for that. We're going to learn how to start a small business, how to write a... No. We prepare you for life with... we're going to learn Latin, a very popular contemporary subject. We're going to learn mathematics, which you can, of course, do on a calculator, but who wants to do that? We're going to learn English. Oh, amazing! We're actually learning a subject that we do, but we could be learning it out talking in life. But no. We're going to have special classes, and you're going to learn. Very important that this is a verb, and verbs do this and that and the other. Well, couldn't I just learn that by whether it's called a verb or not? That's how it's used in daily life? No. That'd be much too simple. And you learn kinesthetically. We understand that. And in life, you'll be able to do that. But in here, you're going to learn through rote memory. Now, what? This is going to transform my life? No. It's going to get you a degree. And then other people who are so dumb through the indoctrination of the culture, who cannot see you, who cannot make up their own opinions. You see, they're not going to make up an opinion. They're going to look at your degree. They're not going to give you a sample job and say, anyone who can do this job has the job. 12-year-old, 10-year-old, 100-year-old. No. We're going to bracket you by age. We don't hire people over this age. We don't do this. And they have to have this degree and this and that and the other. And it's like... And then we're not going to evaluate you on your results. Like how many clients felt helped by you. Oh, no. It's, this bits of paper. So we have all this absurdity. And, of course, a child says, why do I have to go to school? And we're self-referencing. Everyone has to go to school. Do you silly, you silly boy. So, of course, I know this terrain well because when I left school for the last time at age 14, I had all these conversations. And every single adult convinced me that I would never have a job. I had this interview with a police officer who my father had called to throw me out of the house at 16 because I was complaining about certain traumatic abuses in the house and da-da-da. So and I'm talking about my self-designed homeschooling program, and the police officer is very, very worried for me. She says, that's not how it works. That's just not how it works. I'm really worried for you. I mean, it's hard enough to get a job as it is. It's like this is even people with degrees can't get jobs in Canada and da-da-da. That's where we were at the time. And I said, I think I'll be okay. I'm studying this. I'm planning on doing this. Maybe I'll be a landscaper. Prophetic. I've never worked for a person in my life. I make hundreds of dollars an hour. Learning, and I learned useful things. When I left school, I studied sales. I studied creative writing. I formed a teen magazine funded by a bank when I was 15 years old. This seemed more useful. And not a single adult in a self-referential culture had any idea why that would work. Now that's alarming, particularly when we're talking about hippie adults and New Age adults and Waldorf school teachers. This is alarming. Not to them, because in their self-referential world, they don't look and examine the exceptions. When someone has been bludgeoned to death, as it's been shown in Sir Ken Robinson's popular TED Talks and stuff with this, just backs up research that shows that children go into school highly creative, highly productive, highly energized and enthusiastic, and only 2% come out that way. Well, we'll just ignore that data. We're a scientific culture that ignores science when it suits us to promote our cult, because why not? We can get away with it. We've dumbed down the creativity of our citizen base to such a level that they're not going to notice. Hooray! Why change? So we have this. Now, in this dynamic where everyone is passionately insistent on doing what they want to do, which is really what they've been programmed to do by their cult under threat of trauma, and when this is killing the planet and making them sick, is there a place where the unhealthy element of coercion is less damaging and corrosive than the healthy aspects or the unhealthy aspects of freedom? Is putting someone's gun to the head and saying, listen, you fucking idiot, I don't know what has to go through your mind for you to wake up, but if you don't do this, 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 and this, your daughter's going to get cancer, your wife's going to divorce you, you're going to continue having this, this, and this, you're going to do massive harm to the planet, and you're going to call that progress, and I'm not going to let you go through that. So here's what you're going to do. You're going to sit down and read this book, and you're going to sit down and read this book, and you're going to sit down and read this book, and you're going to learn to think, and when I'm confident in your competency to think, we'll take the gun away from your head. How's that? Now, I know you've got soap operas to watch, and I know you've got this, and I know you've got that, but is that really serving the highest deity? Or is personal freedom just become too self-referential? And this is an important dynamic. When does coercion or discipline or manipulation or dominance actually propel more growth or break a self-referential cycle long enough for people to leave the loop and understand that as they return to freedom with a little bit more knowledge and data points, that they use that freedom to actually create well-being rather than continue to destroy their own and our planet, and thus our entire ecological life. This is a question, and what prompted this is exploring this with my brother, and also as I look at certain legal action and stuff with the United States government and things. When is, because court is a coercion. Obviously, if the government wanted to behave and treat its citizens' interest as its number one priority, you don't need to take the government to court. It's just, when has the United States government been primarily interested in the well-being of its people, as opposed to 10,000 other, whether it's lobbying or getting reelected or helping a crony or whatever it is, at the expense of its people.